YouTube bound community, Bee Gees fans, random people on the internet. My name is Giggens, and we're here today to talk about Bee Gees' their first international album, their third overall, but the first one that really got them international fame all around the world except for just Australia. This did surprisingly well for a debut album. Hit number 7 in the US and number 8 in the UK. Had a couple of big songs come off it as singles and really set the groundwork for what was going to come over the next handful of years in their 60s popularity before a tiny bit of decline in the early 70s to massive success after 1975 and onward. The Bee Gees are a group that have so many albums and so many songs and such a long story, and it's one of those bands for me that could be a bit overwhelming because there's just so much to listen to and so much to learn about the group. And I also love that. So this has been an album I've wanted to review for a very, very long time. There's more Bee Gees coming up for sure. But I thought it'd be fun to start with our first one. And cover designed by our buddy Klaus. Klaus Foreman did this. Very cool, huh? But yeah, the Bee Gees, they were born in England and they moved to Australia where they started to become really famous as kids and had a couple of hit singles over there. And then in 1967, they started to pack it all up and move back to England and start in England and see what would happen. So when they got to the UK in January of 1967, Robert Stigwood found them, signed them up, put them on Polydor in the UK and Atco in America, and that was it. And New York Mining Disaster in 1941 was sent out as a single to radio stations with the song name and no band name, and a lot of people thought it was the Beatles, and so they kept requesting to hear it, and eventually cracked the top 20 and became a really big song for them. And so when people learned it wasn't the Beatles, it was this new group called the Bee Gees, people were really turned on by how expressive and deep and well-crafted these songs were for a debut album. This album is really fantastic, and what's great about it too is that it's unpredictable. When you look at it, you look at the big songs, To Love Somebody, New York Mining Disaster, Holiday, you think, oh, it might be kind of a light, fluffy album. There's some psychedelic stuff on here that you would never expect. There's some rockin' moments, there's some real trippy experimental stuff. These guys were all over the place. So if you've never heard this album, dig into it. You will love it. Yeah, I mean, To Love Somebody was another top 20 single for them as well that came out after New York Mining Disaster. Hit number 17 in August of 67. That's one of my favorite songs ever. So this was something I really wanted to enjoy, or I wanted to review, I should say. But at this point, when they came back to England, Polydor was also like, look, we got to flesh you guys out so there's more people in your band to play other instruments. So they got Colin Peterson on drums, who stayed around until 1969, and Vince Maloney, who was also in the group till 1969. And this is a stereo copy, but it opens up with Turn of the Century, and for me, it's like Baroque pop at its finest. It's like someone watched a bunch of Doctor Who and figured, oh, we could write a song about time travel and going back to a time when horse and buggies only ran around and there were no cars. What a cool idea for a song, and also there's lots of timpani on this track, which I love, but the harmonies, the longing, the excitement, that triumphant horn section, it's all here. It's a great opener. I really love the warm vocal delivery. That seals the deal. I mean, the Bee Gees harmonies are some of the best harmonies out there. The way they all combine their vocal elements together, can't beat it, man. Holiday, the next track on here. Awesome use of the organ, and the strings on here give it some drama. They sound so established for a band that was so new. It's amazing they were able to craft these songs. It must have sent a lot of people who were songwriters back to the drawing board to be like, damn, these new guys are really good. We gotta catch up here. It's a really seasoned, brilliant piece of work. I mean, what a track. I mean, a hell of a song. And then Red Chair, Fade Away. This is the first bit of music on the album where things start to change. And you're like, oh, there's more to this album than I thought. Bursting horns, sympathetic strings, emotive drums, and a real psychedelic delivery. Things you never would have thought were a Bee Gees track, but the vocals are calm and expressive in the best way possible. But I love the bright, colorful imagery on this track. It's a really groovy type of song. So that's the first track you should check out. If you've never heard anything from this album before, Red Chair, Fade Away. Hell of a song. But then you get 1 Minute Woman, which is just, I love how Barry passionately sings this one. It could have been a single because there's so much build-up and patience in the song. The song allows itself to grow. It's kind of like a Sunny Day meets the Beatles. Those chord changes are a total classic. That really warm, welcoming feeling. It's a classic song that should have been a hit. And then you get the track. Let me say this slowly. Every Christian lion-hearted man will show you. And this track, or did I skip one? I skipped In My Own Time. That one is one to really check out. It sounds like the Kinks. It sounds like a really poppy Pink Floyd, early Pink Floyd. Group vocals, charging R&B guitars, pounding drums. There's breaks. It's a hell of a rocker. It's just poppy, rockin' fun. And you would have never expected that from the guys who sang To Love Somebody, but there it is. That's In My Own Time. Every Christian lion-hearted man will show you is a really moody, heavy, dark intro to this song, but the crashing, rollicking moments that pop up throughout this thing are so propulsive and they grab your ears. But the use of echo on the voices, it sounds like they recorded this thing in a cave or a humongous hallway. Like, just a really good use of the studio on this track. And then Crace Finton Kirk, Royal Academy of Arts, bouncy piano, vaudeville feel. That's about it for this song. There's really only a piano on this thing with old-timey vocal effect, which I think is cool, but kind of a nice break after the craziness of the last track. And side 2 opens up with New York Mining Disaster, 1941, and it's a classic. I mean, what can you say about it? I mean, like that real sort of forlorn expression in the vocals when they sing together, and then that solo delivery is kind of like this moment of realization that like things have changed. It's a painful and sad song, and it almost sounds like if the 1966 Stones needed a single, they could have done a version of that. I could really see them doing it. Cucumber Castle, real string heavy, super adventurous. I love the xylophones. Kind of a short story track, but I really like the way it grabs that story. It kind of has like a... It's short but sweet, but you kind of get lost in this world really quickly. And then a couple of years later, they write an album based called Cucumber Castle, which is pretty sweet. And then you get To Love Somebody, which is absolutely one of my favorite songs of all time. It's expressive, it's honest, it's raw, it's emotional, it's powerful. It's joyous where it needs to be and heartbroken in other parts. It's just a gorgeous romantic song that allows itself to build and grow and change. And it almost has this heartbeat to it, or like a breath to it. Like it can feel itself becoming more alive as the song goes on. And especially at the end, where you get those expressive, humongous, joyous breaks from the guys, where they all sing together, and Barry does those high parts, and the drums come thundering through. Hell of a song, man. Like, the song really grabs you, especially when it comes on the radio. That string introduction, everyone knows that. I can't sing it, but we all know that introduction. And then you get that dreamy harp, and then you get this cool rockin' feel that just builds and builds and crashes over and over again. Unbelievable track for a group of guys who, at this point, had been playing for a long time. But, for a new band to come out, if you didn't know the story about them, pretty damn impressive song. I Close My Eyes. This is a really awesome drum beat. I love the bass and the strings that join in after that. Just an excellent trippy organ throughout the song as well. There's lots of changing sections on this song. Kind of a good psychedelic groovy number, if you will. I Can't See Nobody. Dense strings on this one again. I really like the string use on this album. Those people got a hell of a paycheck. Just a heartbreaking track. The chorus vocals are warm. The whole song is touching, and you really feel the pain of the delivery of the storytelling, but it grows really well. And then Please Read Me is a rocker through and through. Brilliant harmonies, great chorus, hell of a track. And the last song on here is one of my favorite ones, Close Another Door. This one, I really like the joyous delivery on this bouncy kind of rockin' track. The use of echo is super effective, and the sudden changes keep the song fresh the whole way through. Robin sings the lead on this one. He just nails it. His voice was so damn good. I love this song. Here's the back cover. So you get the story of the Bee Gees, basically, and you get the Klaus Voormann credit. So Klaus was in demand at that time. Here's the original Atco inner sleeve with all the albums you can buy. And here you go. Bee Gees first. On the purple and gold or brown Atco labels. So I'm really happy that I finally got to review a Bee Gees album because they have so much to choose from. They made so many albums and soundtracks and everything else. I mean, they were a prolific band. And this album for me is definitely something that everyone should hear. It's an underrated gem of the 60s, and I feel like it was probably more appreciated at the time, but growing up in the 90s, everyone I knew in my generation knew the Bee Gees as the guys who sang Staying Alive. That was the Bee Gees. And when I discovered songs like To Love Somebody in Massachusetts and I Started a Joke and all that stuff, I was like, oh, there's way more to these guys than I never knew. And hearing those songs when I was a kid made me appreciate the songs that, came out after that. So, when I would hear Staying Alive, I'd be like, wow, that's a band that really grew from the early days. Kind of like the Who, the Beatles, or the Stones. Every band changes. And these guys are no exception to that rule. But yeah, for me, this album is easily a 9 out of 10. It's groovy, it's psychedelic, it's Baroque pop, it's R&B, it's all over the map, but it all flows really well. It doesn't sound like a mishmash of ideas. The whole thing feels like it was meant to go that way. And I really feel like that comes down to the excellent song crafting and the vocals. You have that running theme of it's these guys writing these songs. No matter what changes we go through, we're on the ride with these guys, and we're here no matter what stop we go to. So I love it. So for me, it's a 9 out of 10. Hands down, a fantastic album. And for me, I would say a lost gem of the 60s. If you've never heard anything before Staying Alive or Jive Talkin', pick this thing up. It's going to blow your mind. You will not expect it to sound the way it does, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. And I think you're going to become a hardcore Bee Gees fan after hearing it because there's so much to enjoy from these guys and a lot more to come in terms of reviews from these guys on this channel. But Bee Gees, thank you. It was an honor to review you guys. 9 out of 10. My name is Giggens. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.